Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 8th Annual Philanthropy Tank competition. We're excited that you can join us today for this celebration of philanthropy and impact at Mines. So before we begin, if you would like to pose a question to any of the finalists during the Q&A time, you can raise your hand and one of the moderators will call on you. Please hold all questions until the end of each presentation. We're also broadcasting this live via Zoom, so if any virtual attendees have questions throughout the program for our finalists, please write them down in the Q&A. You can also use Zoom to raise your hand, and one of the moderators will try to get to you so you can speak live. And we'll get to as many questions as possible. For anyone that doesn't know me, which is most of you, my name is Alexa, and I am the student office assistant for the philanthropy kind of subheading at the foundation, and I'm going to be emceeing / moderating tonight. So first, we'd like to give a very special thank you to Jerry and Karen Zink, Howard Jansen, and several other donors who support this program. In the history of Philanthropy Tank, over $50,000 has been awarded to project groups, and I'm just gonna leave it. And we're excited to reveal that another $10,000 is up for grabs this year. Philanthropy Tank is one of our signature events that brings together entrepreneurs, innovators, creatives, and philanthropists to better the Mines experience. This annual event is hosted like Shark Tank and provides small grants to students, faculty, and staff who aim to improve an aspect of campus culture. Project teams submitted their initial pitch in video format in early November. If you'd like to view those submissions, you can at the weare.mines.edu/tank website. Scroll to the community section and click on the vote button. And there you can see the pitch videos and have an opportunity to cast your vote for who you think should receive funding this year. After the panel session, we'll combine our judges' scores with community votes to help determine this year's winner or winners, which will be announced next week. This evening is meant to gauge the sustainability, impact, and realistic nature of each of our finalists. We'll introduce everyone to our panel of judges, provide a quick overview of each of the finalists, and then spend about half the evening in a moderated Q&A session. At the end, we'll let you all know the next steps of how you can rally your friends and family and get involved to support each of these incredible concepts. Oh, sorry, that was a little bit late. So let's introduce our judges. First, we have Mary Cook. Mary is the Director of Education Abroad and Manager of Student Mobility at Mines. Kelsey Farrow. Kelsey is the President of the Board of Student Organizations and is currently pursuing her bachelor's degree in Metallurgical and Materials Engineering. Hugh Harvey. Hugh graduated from Mines in 1974 with a bachelor's in mining engineering and a master's degree in 1980. In 2009, Hugh and his wife, Michelle, established the Harvey Scholars Program, which recognizes and rewards merit in academic performance, outstanding character and leadership, and fosters excellence in academic and life pursuits. It is the Harveys' hope that the scholars receive professional and personal success and make a commitment to pay it forward throughout their own lives. Begonia Ruiz. Begonia is the Associate Director for Sale, Finance, and Operations. For the past 6 years, she has worked closely with student organizations and is an integral part of the management of student fees on the Mines campus. She currently works with Sale, Nest, and MEP offices and is a Mines alumna. Andrew Peterson. Andy is an associate professor in the Division of Economics and Business at Mines and is passionately in pursuit of educating students beyond the classroom through hosted seminars and workshops, including his signature I Dig Money personal finance series. Ashwini Shweta. Ashwini is currently pursuing a bachelor's in civil engineering and serves as the outreach and homecoming chair for the Mines Activity Council. She's also a Bocher Scholar and part of the McBride Honors Program. Big thank you to all of our judges for taking the time this evening and providing their unique lenses in assessing each of our projects. So we're proud to announce 5 projects that have advanced to this evening's live Q&A session. We have Fighting Hunger at Mines, Kickstart, Logipedia, Mines Green Team, and the Theme Park Engineering and Design Group. So we'll start with our first group, which is Fighting Hunger at Mines.
Thanks, guys. Is this my phone? Is this my phone?
Yeah.
This is my phone.
Yeah.
Sweet. Hey, my name's Estelle. I'm a PhD student here on campus, and I've been the president of Fighting Hunger at Mines for like over 2 years now. So some of you might know my face, some of you might not, but here it is. So I'm gonna be representing the group, and here it goes. So Fighting Hunger at Mines, some of the things that we've been up to since 2019 when we started, we are estimated to have brought over 15,000 pounds of food to campus. And in 2020, when there was a lull during the pandemic or the start of the pandemic, we helped start Be Golden, which was a golden community funded nonprofit that distributed over 1 million meals to the golden community during 2020 alone. And that did not disclude students at Mines. So it included students at Mines and students in the golden community. And then with the help of Philanthropy Tank last year, we expanded the Blasters Basket operating space. So I don't know how many of you guys have been to Blasters Basket, but it used to be in the hallway at the Student Center. And now it's actually in its own room down the hall from the bookstore. And so it's a little more secluded, but it also has an extra fridge in there. So there's 2 fridges in there now, and there's 2 pantries. And then we're actually expanding that space within the coming year to include a commercial freezer. We also partner with various student and community groups, including Calvary Church, Hunger Feed Golden. We sit on the board of Grown at Mines, Dress for Success, the Mines Wellness Committee, and things like that. So one of the more relevant things that we've been up to is that we've been conducting a lot of cooking classes. So we do 1 per semester. So that's 5 in total over the past 2.5 years. Each class fills up on the first day. We've been partnering with a lot of local restaurants. Oh, shit. How do I do this? I don't know if it was. Oh. There you go. Nice. Okay. Sorry. They showed me how to do that before and I forgot. So this is a video that they did at the last cooking class. And we have been fortunate enough to partner with some local restaurants. So these are the cooks and owners of Nosu Ramen and Abetas that come to campus the past 2 times of our cooking class to help demonstrate. So I decided to show a little clip of like what they've been doing so you guys can kind of see what the cooking classes entail. They receive really positive feedback from the students. We feed over 50 students each time, and we usually have a multi-course menu that includes a lot of like culturally relevant food courses. They're also budgetary friendly. And okay, cool. So yeah, you guys saw the video. We've been having a lot of like local restaurants come to campus, which you saw there, and they want to continue that kind of partnership with us, and we also want to continue that. Something that a lot of our participants have been eager to start more of, and they're actually interested in doing a budgetary friendly cooking kind of class, which actually isn't one specific thing, but people sign up for 3 classes a semester, and then you kind of go to 3 consecutive classes, and they teach you how to shop and like what to look for and what to buy, how to preserve it, and do things like this. And so that's something that we're looking forward to doing in the future. Another one of the relevant things that we've been doing in the past couple of years is surveys. So one of the first things that people say to me when I tell them about the organization is that they don't know that food insecurity is an issue on Mines campus, and it is pretty shocking to most people. So we've done 2 surveys in 2019 and 2021. And unfortunately, it's shown that Mines students kind of track with the national average, which is that 30% of students on campus identify as food insecure. So we've obviously been expanding the pantry operation to kind of deal with this issue. But, you know, our last survey was in fall of 2021 or spring of 2021. So we're not really sure where that issue stands now, which brings us to our next slide. So the fundraising request breakdown that we're kind of asking for you tonight, portion of that $1,000 is for this survey that we want to conduct. So we want to do kind of like a round out our biannual survey and do another one in 2023. We've gotten over 11% of the student body to respond to the survey in the past. And the reason for that is that we've provided incentive. So it's obviously pretty easy to get people to do a survey when you say, oh, I can give you this box of cookies, or I can give you this tote bag that has Fighting Hunger at Mines on it if you do our survey. So we're asking for $1,000 for that incentive. We're looking to kind of double the amount of students we're able to reach in this coming survey, so around 20%. And with that, we'll be able to gauge how students have been responding to things like inflation, rising gas prices with the war, and all these things that have kind of come up since 2021 that might be affecting their financial status and also their hunger status. In addition to this, $1,500 would be to go towards 2 of those annually or the semesterly cooking classes. So they usually run around $700 or $750 a piece. We won't do one each semester, so that would be $1,500. And this is not only to just feed the over 50 students that come to these classes and kind of impart on them some knowledge from these local restaurant people, but also to fund an auction. So we do a auction for a food, like a kitchen appliance every year. So we've done rice cookers, we've done immersion blenders, things like this. And we also send out every student with a spice pack and gift certificates to those restaurants that they serve. And then $500 would be just towards operational costs for the pantry. So we have like buckets that we put the food in that we need to replace every so often. We have cleaning supplies for the pantry. We have things that we need to do to maintain the fridges, and then promotional costs. So one of the biggest issues that we have at the pantry is that people don't know it exists. So people that use it obviously use it frequently, but people who don't know happens or don't know that the service is provided to them don't. And so we're trying to reach those people. And so a portion of this is just to let them know that this happens. So yeah, that's our funding request breakdown, and I'm glad to represent Fighting Hunger at Mines. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me afterwards. I'm going to hand it off to Kickstart. Sweet. Oh yeah, questions.
5 minutes of questions.
5 minutes.
Good question. Thank you.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've been doing some really good work, and it's great to see that this has been a sustainable project for many years now. Do you have any estimate about how many students are served through Blaster's Basket or pick up food that you're distributing?
That is the most common question that we get. So in order to like minimize the barriers that we have to the pantry, we don't take any kind of statistics on who accesses it. I mean, we do have some rough numbers just because it is also a study space. If you guys have been into the pantry, a lot of people sit in there and like hang out, and like sometimes I'll study in there. And I have like a relative estimate how many people visit the pantry each day. And I know that also it's like a lot of repetitive folks, right? So it's not like every time somebody visits the pantry, they're said and done. They usually come back and you know, have a situation where they need to revisit. And so I think that our rough estimate right now is that we serve over 100 people a week. We bring over 200 pounds of food to school every week. So it kind of evens out. But also our distribution style has differed a lot over the past 3 years. When we first started in the beginning, we were mainly distributing on the plaza. So I don't know how many of you guys were here. Like 3 years ago, we had those big yellow buckets, and we would just stand in Pedestrians Plaza and we just get swarms of people, and there'd be one of us on a chair just trying to count all the people that we were serving. But now we stock the pantry and kind of have it that style because of COVID friendly reasons, and it's a little harder to gauge those numbers. That makes sense. Sorry, that's not a huge solid answer.
No, do you find all the food's being utilized though?
Within a day, every time we stock it, it's gone the next day.
Does the survey include any questions regarding if you are reaching your target audience? So you say that you don't keep track of who's utilizing these services, or you know, who knows that they exist. And when you used to set up in the plaza, the food was gone in a few hours. But are you reaching the students that are actually in need?
Yeah, so a portion of the survey, or a question on the survey, is obviously like the gauge food insecurity, and then one of them is, are you aware and do you utilize Blaster's Basket? So last survey was in 2021, and this is before Blaster's Basket actually moved locations, and actually before we switched distribution style. And so while that previous survey, the lineup between people who use what they consider Blasters Basket, because we don't identify as a club as, you know, our identity is not Blasters Basket. We're Fighting Hunger at Mines and we stock Blasters Basket. And so people who, you know, signaled that they use Blasters Basket didn't necessarily use Fighting Hunger at Mines food because we distributed in a different manner. There was a lot of crossover to people who were needing the services and were aware of the services and utilizing them. But there definitely wasn't direct match, which is why a portion of our funds is going to go towards promotional costs so people know that it actually happens or that actually is an option for them.
One question. So you mentioned earlier that you get 200 pounds of food a week and distribute that. Where do you get that food exactly, and how can you ensure that that can keep being produced?
Yes, that's a great question. So a portion of that food, and so when we started in 2019, it was actually started by a food insecure student who was dumpster diving at the time, and they realized that they could volunteer the student, or not student, but one of the food pantries in the local community, and get, you know, reduced price groceries there. And with that, while they were volunteering there, they realized that there was a ton of surplus food there that they ended up having to throw out or compost every week just because they didn't have the storage or the consumer base to take all of that food. And so he started bringing that stuff back to campus, and that's kind of where we got our start. So we were getting a lot of our surplus food from the food pantries that are within the area. So I said we sit on the board of hunger or Hunger Free Golden. And with that, we're kind of intertwined with all of the food pantries in the local area, and they give us all of their surplus food. So a lot of this is also a waste project to make sure that none of this food goes to waste. But with that, we also have received a lot of city grants that allow us to actually purchase food from local areas. So we get a lot of fresher produce from places like Go Farm. We get like culturally relevant meats from Golden Poultry and Meats and things like this. So we're kind of expanding where we're getting our food from, and it doesn't seem there's not a lack of food out there. It's really just the lack of space.
Thank you.
I have a question. What is your next steps in developing this organization? You say that you're not Blasters Basket, although you do help a lot with Blasters Basket. Where do you see the club in the next 5 years? Are you looking to add extra cooking classes, things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's something we think about a lot. And like I said, we're not Blasters Basket, even though we've been merging with them in the past couple of years, and we partner with them pretty integrally. In the next couple of years, I'm hoping that we're not a club organization. I'm hoping that we are something that's taken on by the university officially. And I'm hoping that's something that students don't necessarily have to take, you know, to commandeer forever. Because it clearly is an issue, or I'm hoping that we disappear because it no longer is an issue. And until that happens, I think that students will be empathetic enough to take on the cause, and people are pretty gung-ho about reducing food waste in the community and also feeding students on campus. So I'm not necessarily pessimistic about where the club goes until then. And I think that eventually it will be a full-fledged food pantry that is funded by the university.
I have another question.
Yeah, go
So
for
you
it.
said you wanted to increase marketing, is promoting the Blasters Basket and your services to more of the student population. Like, what exactly will that marketing look like? What will the money go towards?
So marketing is not expensive, but it's also not free, which is why it's included here. Basically, it's like flyers and things that aren't necessarily, don't cost, you know, fully $500, which is why most of that will probably go towards operational costs. But we included it in here because it is a very important aspect of the organization. And, you know, even flyers cost some money over at the library. So mainly flyers, kind of describing what our services offer, maybe some social media, kind of like upgrading, you know, promotional things on there, things like that.
We have time for one more question.
Anybody else?
So I have a tag team on the marketing question. It seems like if your cooking classes fill up within the first day, that's your best source of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have two. How could we expand that into audiences that don't typically come to a, let's say, freshman, sophomore, or you were in a hall when you were doing it? So how could you expand that to, say, football or basketball games or somewhere outside of the normal I live on campus?
Yeah, and while it was hosted on campus in Spruce Hall, we did do like a demographic survey of the people that attended, and it was an even distribution of people that live on and off campus. We do have a heavy graduate population that actually utilizes the campus, or utilizes the pantry. And so they see more of the advertising events that kind of happen and we post in that pantry. And we also have an Instagram that we post whenever we stock the pantry and events and et cetera like this. In order to kind of expand that into a more diverse population, that's a really interesting question, something that I hadn't actually thought about before. We have a lot of partnerships on campus, and I guess that we can use their social media to like kind of advertise to different specific populations that might like, you know, broaden our reach, things like that. Oh, sweet. Okay, Kickstart's next this week.
I'm a little short. Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine. I am here as a representative of Kickstart, and this is.
I'm Fisher Argosino. I'm also one of the leads for Kickstart. And I apologize for not being here a little bit earlier. I had another engagement before this.
So today I'll be walking you through basically what is Kickstart. We're going to talk about uniting DI and A student leaders on campus, as well as what we call the Social Climate Summit. So a little background on Kickstart. We are a relatively new organization that started back in 2020. We've grown quite a lot over the last like 2-ish years. We grew from being a Spruce only organization during COVID to campus wide. We've grown from 50 members to 180 members. Our e-board has grown from 10 members to 20 members. Kickstart is a discussion-based organization on campus focused on pushing for diversity and inclusion on campus. Our mission statement is to build a cohesive, welcoming community that enables the sharing and exploration of different perspectives, backgrounds, and experiences. We do this through 3 main avenues, one of which is discussions, in which we host upon various topics and invite people from various backgrounds to come and talk and just kind of share their ideas and celebrate that diversity of thought. We also host social events in which we can further build that community in order to get to know each other and support one another, know each other by name and background. We also host various initiatives around campus. Like this semester, we hosted a voting initiative in which we help people get registered to vote, as well as just like knowing what like opportunities are if you're like out of state as well as like in state. Moving on. So on the topic of uniting DI and A student leaders on campus, there's a variety of organizations that push for DI and A, such as MEP, which houses SACE, NSBE, SHIP, as well as a bunch of other organizations. Residence Life and like other department majors also have committees focused on DI and A. But often these efforts in DI and A are uncoordinated or not communicated well with one another. So as a result, this can feel quite isolating and fragmented.
So the solution that we feel we can do this, which we'll get into the official title, is one, we need to develop a community of these people. A lot of the times they work in their own academic departments, they're in the DI&A department themselves, they're in the MEP orgs, or they're scattered around campus. We want to develop a community of these people so that they're aware of each other, so they can support each other, and so they can come up with different collaborations so that we can reduce duplicative efforts across campus. We can put into one better effort, which is a better use of funds and a better use of everyone's time. Next, we want to make sure, as I got into it, we want to make sure that people are collaborating. And it's important that we hit on the supporting, because a lot of the times these initiatives are student-led, but they're oftentimes not as supported by staff and faculty. Not necessarily because they don't want to, because we're not sure of the proper avenues in order to get that type of support, or it goes on top of the times that we spend doing our academic work and other things. So we want to make sure we hit on that. And then the last thing is we want to expose ourselves and other student leaders to different ways that we approach the DI&A on campus. Because we're all engineers in this campus, it feels that a lot of the ideas can feel a little bit monolithic. We approach views from the lens of an engineer. But if we can bring in other leaders from around the community, so philanthropic leaders, people in nonprofits, and people that do this work at other universities, we'll be able to expand their ideas into mine so that we can improve our DI&A policies, not necessarily the department, but as we do it as a campus, by bringing in those different perspectives.
So as we mentioned, the event we were planning to host is called the Social Climate Summit. So the Social Climate Summit would feature three main kind of activities and like just events. So first of all, we would have outside speakers come in and host, as Fisher hit on briefly. Some potential candidates are listed there, but we would basically have them come in, host a workshop or host like a little speech to give us ideas of what they have done that has worked for them and what we could incorporate into campus. We also plan to host discussion and breakout groups in which different organizations on campus can collaborate with one another and support one another. This is a space for us to brainstorm and build those partnerships with all the organizations that are working towards DI&A. We also plan to have tabling activities and from the various participants in order to kind of highlight what they've done, kind of show us each an example of what has worked and how it has worked and experience it firsthand.
Kickstart is something that's definitely new to campus, and the way that we differentiate from the other MEP student orgs is that we try to act as a bridge from the rest of campus to the MEP orgs, as well as try to have a catalyst for collaboration between the MEP orgs themselves as well. Reason that we feel that this is especially important is because we want to make sure that everyone here feels supported and feel included. We've brought a lot of people together from around campus in order to do this, so we know how to host these discussions, we know how to do these things, but we would like the financial support and also the expertise from other experts in order to help us continue to advance this work in campus and bring more people together. The next one. This is our little budget breakdown. I'll let y'all read through that and then ask questions on that. We also submitted this as part of the application, but we hope that you'll take this into consideration and that we'll be able to get your grant. Oh, the Zoom thing. There you go.
Oh, it's just helpful.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you all planning on making this a repeated event? Like, is the goal to have this a yearly summit or is this a one-time thing?
The goal right now is to have this be a one-time thing and then see how it goes from here. This will be the first time that we've hosted something like this as Kickstart. We know that DI&A, the department, hosts one in the spring, but that's geared towards staff and faculty. There are some opportunities for students to get involved, but it is still geared towards staff and faculty. And last year was on a random day during the week, so a lot of students weren't able to attend because of class. So we want to make sure that this is student-led and that this is student-centered because we want to make sure that they get the credit that, or we all get the credit that we get for advancing these issues on campus.
So it leads to a follow-up question. So if you were kind of looking at creating a central hub for information, would there be a way, or do you envision a way to bring in sort of the faculty and staff side of the DI&A along, in with the students? Is there an outcome maybe from the summit that you hope will sort of create more of that centralness of all activities towards DI&A, or do you still see this as being more just student focused? And letting the other pieces of DI&A be faculty and staff.
So the way that we see it is that the DI&A department itself is largely centered with faculty and staff, although there are student representatives of those. We want those students to additionally be involved, but we do want staff and faculty involvement, but we feel that there isn't as much unity on the student side for DI&A issues, just because we're spread across different academic departments, clubs, organizations, and all these different things on campus. We feel that if we're able to bring our voices together, we have a better shot at bringing better proposals to staff and faculty. That way, the changes that we propose to people are more actionable and they're more focused and central, as opposed to a bunch of little different initiatives that are going around campus. We can have one more thought out, more unified idea that we can bring to staff and faculty. Because we know that you all work like 9 to 5 schedule. It's a different schedule from students. So we know that when we come to staff and faculty for support and help, we need to make sure we bring a good idea that's easily actionable and specific.
How do you plan to invite students to this? Is this going to be kind of a free-for-all? Are you planning to maybe have students be invited or suggested by faculty and staff members? How do you plan to do that?
Yeah, so we have good relationships with a lot of the MEP orgs. We officially became a part of MEP this academic year. So we'll be able to speak with a lot of them to promote it. We also know some peer peer mentors, and then also peer educators. So peer educators are DI and day, and then peer mentors are part of the peer mentors program for CSM 101. We have a lot of resident life advisors as well that are a part of Kickstart that would be interested in an event like this. And we also know a bunch of staff and faculty that are interested in promoting this type of change on campus. But a lot of them have expressed to us that a lot of this change has to be student-led. So we know that they are connected with students that would also be interested in this. So in short, we have a lot of relationships with people around campus that have been interested in an idea like this.
And of course, the daily blast is also an option. We would open it up to the campus through the daily blast and have like a sign up or a kind of like RSVP system as well.
Here's time for one more question.
So do you have a very specific process in mind, how you're gonna measure your success after this event takes place?
So measuring success for this will be one, the number of collaborations that take off after this event, because a lot of times you can have an event like this and no action will result from it. So we want to make sure we get at least 3 good collaborations with that. And we'll measure that by making sure that when all the people come here, we'll make sure to log all the ideas and the brainstorms that happens during the discussions and the breakout sessions. And from there, we'll be following up throughout the summer to make sure we continue the momentum. Because this will be happening towards the second half of the spring semester, we'll be running up against summer vacation, which is difficult because although students are off of campus and potentially might have more time, they're also off of campus and have more time and might not want to work on this. But we have a good track history of keeping momentum through the summer within our own members. And we know that people are passionate about these issues, but they need the support and they need to understand that the staff and faculty also support them and that they have students that are willing to work with them on these issues. So for these reasons, we feel that we can continue these projects through them, and then we can quantify that by counting the amount of projects and then also making sure that we keep track of the people that are involved.
A part of the process at the end of the event would also be collecting feedback of how the event went. Would you go to this event again? And so we can also incorporate questions into that of like, what partnerships have you formed? What event has like ideated from this event? And then we can follow up through those results as well.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm just gonna mention that if I were funding this out of my pocket, I'd want to report.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And now we hand it off to Logipedia.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and just drag this down. Oh, yeah. Can you hide that? Is there a way to hide that? I think you click
And then
hide floating meeting control. Oh, that was the one above it or one below it. Yeah, floating. There we go. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It should work right now.
Make sure it works, make sure it moves. Okay, yep, okay. Sweet. Well, again, thank you guys for taking the time out of your evening to help out the Lions community with this event. Much appreciated. And we're excited to share a little bit with you about the Logipedia tutorial. And so my name is Ben. My name is Kumar, and we're both computer science students here at Lions with a focus in business. And so you're probably asking yourself, what is the Logipedia tutorial? And so we have one goal, which is to help people make better informed decisions on the world's most pressing issues. And what we're hoping to do is bring together an intellectually diverse community on campus in order to help research best of both sides on the world's most pressing issues, in order to help populate a Wikipedia for debatable topics called Logipedia, in order to share this with students here at Minds and beyond. And so what this becomes is a rare chance for students to refine their own ideas with people who disagree with them, and also to create content that can help impact hundreds of thousands of people. And so this is not just an idea that we're wanting to pursue, but something that already we've been working on and has some traction in the market. And so we've been doing interviews and have talked to a number of students across different campuses, also especially here at Lions, and found that students are tired of political sensationalism and are looking to see the best of both sides in the media they look at, however, don't have the time to research this often. And so what we've done is created a website that helps
collect this content and show the pros and cons of important issues that people care about. And right now we have a fully functioning website that allows this content to be collected. But what's probably more important is the community that helps make this content. We're currently in collaboration with 5 different clubs on campus. From the left, from the right, Libertarian discussion clubs, even Kickstarter, who was just presenting. We have 17 people currently participating as contributors, beta testers, and as core team. And we had our first meeting this last Friday, and we'll be having another one this next Friday in the future. And we're investing a lot of time into this because we're passionate about it, and are even hoping to turn this into a career. And if this works here at Lions, into a nonprofit. Thank you so much, Ben. All right, so we've illustrated a little bit of what our prototype looks like. As Ben mentioned, we do have a website that's fully functional. It is a prototype, and now we are going through the iterative process and continually trying to improve both the way that it looks and interacts with its user base as time goes on. You see, you've got a little create page and everything. There's the explore page where you can explore the content, and then down at the bottom is sort of how the content is currently displayed. Okay. So the whole reason that we're here at Philanthropy Tank is that we're requesting funds from you guys. And by the way, we very much appreciate the time you've taken out of your day. As Ben has already mentioned, we've made some progress with Philanthropy thus far. We've done a little bit of market research in order to anticipate or understand if groups of individuals who are interested in this do in fact exist. For the coming future, in fact, for the next 12 months, we have a little bit of a technical plan and 3 specific points that we want. First of all, we'd like to finalize the formation of our club with SAIA. As Ben mentioned, we've had a couple of club meetings already, but we'd like to continue that into the future, have those meetings on a regular basis, and have all those things organized. The next thing we would like to do is we'd like to create a podcast. This is something that we're asking for some funds for. We anticipate we want to create our content in multiple different media, or display our content into multiple different media, one being the website and one being the podcast. And we hope to reach about 100 or so listeners by the first semester that we've had our club going. And finally, by the next semester, we hope that we're reaching 1,000 or so weekly readers or listeners, hopefully from campuses and places far beyond Mines, but hopefully lots of those students will be at Mines. So in order to accomplish this tentative roadmap, we're requesting $3,500 from Philanthropy Tank, and that's going to go towards 3 primary uses. The first one is going to be the food we're going to provide for the clubs and meetings that we have. Like Ben mentioned, we've had a couple of meetings already, and we want to make sure that we can provide for the particular breeders who are coming to participate and contribute to the clubs themselves. Secondly, we know that these things are not free to run. Like we said, we have a website as well as podcasts, which have expenses associated with them. Over the next 12 months or so, this is about the cost that we anticipate in order to host those podcasts on and host the services for the website. And then finally, miscellaneous costs or expenses, one of them being marketing, and we would primarily do this through potentially posters. Although there's other means as well, like Ben has mentioned, we are well connected with some of the other groups that work here at Mines. So we hope to continue to work with those groups in order to increase the amount of reach that we have. And so now I want to talk a little bit about the impact, like how will this help Mines? And first off, part of the goal of this is to help connect and unite the political groups here at Mines, which is already doing. And because we have leaders from each of the different political clubs who are wanting to help participate in this. Second, this helps refine tomorrow's leaders. Because of this environment, it brings the people who are passionate about this, who are wanting to make a change in the future, brings them to an environment where they can help refine their own ideas and therefore find better opinions on things so that as they become policy advocates in the future or influencing tech industries or wherever they're working, they're able to make the world a better place. Thirdly, it helps inform minds politically, helps people see the best of both sides, understand the other side, which will help create empathy and reduce some of the polarization we've seen in our society. And fourthly, probably more important, is where I'm hoping for this to go. Is that worst case, what this becomes is a glorified speaking faith club. And even that would be really awesome because that allowed people to come together and explore these ideas in a civil environment, which is often a rare thing in society today. But beyond this, if this works out here at Minds. I'm hoping that this can reach hundreds, thousands, even millions of people in the future. Because I like to make this into, like, again, if it works here at Minds, to make it appear at other campuses and other communities around the world. So this becomes the Wikipedia for debating topics, the one-stop shop to see the best of both sides. And what I'd love to see is for the starting place for this to be at Minds, help hit Minds on that as the place where it started. And again, thank you for taking the time to listen to us tonight, and I'd love to hear some questions. Yeah.
I've got one to start off with.
Does it work?
It does. Just use that.
Testing. So I'm interested in seeing the sustainability of the workload that something like this. I know you have plans to become a club, but we know as a lot of big startup kind of companies, it's not always easy to have a huge amount of ideas in one place and actually execute them. So what are your plans on keeping this workload sustainable and keeping the ideas flowing, as well as keeping them in check so that they're actually executable?
And so is that essentially asking, like, how do we make sure that, like, the club structure is able to create to the extent that we're talking about here? The first thought there is we've had the first meeting, and given what we're able to do within that meeting, we are already looking to be able to have like one article by the end of this week. And so just with the first meeting, without any like iterations or refinement on the structure, and there's definitely some refinements on the structure that we need to do for this next meeting, is we are looking to have at least an article, which can be set up and spread out throughout the week through little email snippets and a podcast that someone can listen to. Along with, this was only, again, like 7 people who were able to make it to the first meeting. And these were just, everyone I asked said yes. And so I'm very much expecting that there will be a lot more interest in this, especially since there's not a formal speech and debate club here at Minds. We see examples of speech and debate clubs make much more content and much more rigorous content than what we're able to make even in our first meeting. And so we're having trying to parallel some of what they're able to do in content creation. Because people are interested in that type of content. Because we have examples of that working in real life.
So you're more looking to build a BuzzFeed type of content creator where they post articles, and it's not just polling articles in about a certain topic. It's not like Google. It's more of a created by people that are doing all this research themselves.
So what we're doing is seeking to become content curators. And so we're not creating our own content, our own opinions. What we're doing is pulling from other news sources out there, aggregating that information with people who can't do that research or don't have the time to do that research themselves. And forming that into this, like, okay, here's one like a small excerpt on like why you should believe that social media is bad for society, and one con for like why social media is good for the society. That idea. And so we have like a number of those from either side that people can come and see as an article.
So are you scraping the data from other websites, and is this automated somehow?
This is not automated. This is people, as part of what the club meeting is about, is deciding, okay, here are the topics that we're going to be exploring, and we are going to fill in the pros and cons of. Now we're going to go find news articles with that information and connect people to those. And so we kind of summarize and pull quotes from those in order to share that with the community. And there are already some newsletters out there similar to this, which reach out to even 25,000 people. And so there's, again, demand for this. What we're doing is improving upon the format of this, allowing it to be scalable, unlike the current solutions that are out there.
I have,
Can I answer your question a little further? There's actually a number of companies that are out here that are doing something similar to this. However, they're not philanthropic or they're not profit based. Procon.org is one example, and the flip side as well. They're both newsletters that are sort of email oriented that have the same sort of internal structure that we have sort of contrived here, where they show the positives and the negatives or the pros and cons of some particular subset of issues. One of the bigger complaints that I've noticed in reading through the comments on Google reviews for those particular services is that it's very difficult to parse that information. We've gotten pretty accustomed to tweets being 140 characters, and that's about all we have attention span for. So it's really difficult, even for people who are interested, to digest lots of this information. So what we're trying to do for sort of our new value proposition is that we're trying to make this information much more digestible. Because at present, there are people who are interested, but it just doesn't exist in a very digestible state. And we're more or less going through the scientific process to iteratively discover sort of what that ultimately looks like for our group.
I have a couple of follow-up questions. The first one is, since this is such a human factor in collecting the data, how do you know you're hitting all of the sources and being unbiased yourself? And the second part of the question is, since our attention span is so little to say, for all of those issues that require some background knowledge or historical knowledge, how do you incorporate that?
And so, first, part of what we're shooting for is to create an intellectually diverse community. So we have all sides represented in one community who's making this content. And so we're bringing in these people who are politically engaged and already spending all this time listening to and knowing about what's out there. And they can bring in that information and help aggregate it into this community. And we, again, have practical examples of speech and debate clubs who compete and do this and do it effectively. It's not like it's impossible. And so what we're trying to do is kind of model some of that content creation process in order to produce something that people are looking forward to in a newsletter that they can read and listen to weekly, eventually daily, as we get more groups as part of this.
Time for one more question.
So I understand how your website works, that I've had in class, and this idea was there a year ago. So it's fun to see the stage progress. I don't understand or see how the podcast fits in.
And so that was part of the market research we were doing. As we were talking with people and showing the format, some people like really enjoy the website format. However, some people may even check the website. And that's because when they listen to politics, what they do is they're listening to like a podcast as they're driving to their school or as they're at the gym. And so a large part of how people consume politics is podcasts. And so it's pretty easy to turn one of these into a podcast. We've already experimented with that, gotten some positive results. There's just some manipulation of the format that we're doing, but like the content and we got 80% there. Now we're trying to get that extra 20% in order to refine and make it something spot on.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming.
My green team. Need this.
Hi, everybody. My name is Genevieve, and I'm the president of the Mines Green Team, and I'm a junior in environmental engineering.
Hi, I'm Leah Walker, and I'm the treasurer of Mines Green Team.
Thank you guys so much for coming. We're excited to talk to you about our club and our goals for the year with Philanthropy Tank. So we are requesting in total $1,600 to be used for all of our events that we put on as a club, which are composting, Earth Day, campus celebration, cleanup events around the community, educational projects and programs, and some other miscellaneous projects that we work on throughout the year. And our entire budget for our club goes toward only our projects. We don't have any other expenses that we spend on. So our first project is composting. Sorry, am I too close to this mic? Do I need to back up? Is this good? Sorry. Anyway, so composting is the main thing that we would be spending this money on. We've partnered with MAC this year to provide composting for homecoming and E-Days. And in the past, we've worked with Sodexo to bring a day of composting to Mines Market, and we plan to continue these initiatives. We're already working with MAC on E-Days preparation right now. Over winter break, especially, we'll be doing more of that. And then we've been in contact with Sodexo through the food committee that USG had in the past, and then also emailing their staff separately too now as a club. So those are the main areas we do composting. We also did composting for prom last year for the USG prom that took place in February, and that was very successful. Education is our next aspect of focus for our club. So we host sustainability talks a few times each semester. We've hosted 2 this semester, where we bring in guests from the Mines and greater community, Golden community, to talk about sustainability with students. Our previous speakers were Golden Gardens, NREL, Tiny House, Leola, Prayer, and other people. And these are very successful. We also were able to pay for food for the first CES talk, where students could like get free food and listen to the talk. And we hope to keep doing that in the future because it helps bring more people. And then we also plan to host programs for residence life and FSL, which is fraternity and sorority life communities, about sustainable living on campus. We're already talking with both of those groups about that too, and we'll be planning those over winter break. And the goal here is to engage more students in sustainability, especially those on campus, because Mines has a focus on earth, energy, and environment. And so we want to bring that to students on campus so that they can be a part of that. Because it can be challenging right now to be sustainable on campus without composting provided universally and other things kind of missing that would help with sustainability. Next is our cleanup events. So for the past 2 semesters, we've hosted cleanup events in Golden with Minds Without Borders, and we're also working with Blue Key Honor Society this semester. Yes, and Circle K as well. So yes, we're doing that. Basically, we all just as a group go out into the community, like around Clear Creek, and we pick up trash and recycling, and just make sure that the community looks clean, put together, and make sure that it's nice and stuff, and prevent littering. And all members of campus are welcome to participate, although most of the people are from our club, so we hope to expand that in the future. So our Earth Day event is our largest event that we put on as a club, and this always happens during Earth Week, which is usually like the week before E-Days. And during this event, we give away succulents, we provide food and beverages. Community members set up booths to educate students and give away free items. And a lot of times these community members are the people that we see at CES Talks, so students will recognize them and remember them from that. And then this year it'll be hosted on Stratton and Cathbar Commons. Last year was actually in this room, and we gave away over 300 succulents, right? Yes. Yeah, they ran out in a very short amount of time. It's a very popular event, and so we hope to make it really large this year. Other projects that we have are the air quality monitor that was installed last semester. So we fundraised, installed, and managed that. Solely our club did that project, and it's the only air quality monitor on campus. The data it collects is available to the public. And then our other project is Green Labs. So we collaborate with the sustainability department to run periodic lab assessments in an effort to promote lab sustainability on campus. Extra funding would allow the program to add additional educational functions as well as increase incentives. And if you didn't know, labs are one of the main consumers of energy and one of the main sources of CO2 production on campus. They use far more energy than really anything else. And so Green Labs would help significantly reduce energy use and emissions, which would be amazing. Thank you. We appreciate your time and support, and we will take questions.
You mentioned that you work with the sustainability department. Have there been any talks about you being part of what Mines does? Because it feels like Mines should be doing.
Yes, one of our goals as a club for the next year-ish is to become a sustainability governing body with other clubs that are related to sustainability on campus. Because then we would be able to be allocated more money and resources, because currently under BSO, we have to we're just part of that, we're part of all the organizations. And so there's less resources for our specific sustainability department. And so if we were to become a governing body, we would be able to work better with the sustainability department and create more effectual change on campus. Because as a club right now, we just don't have a lot of power. And I think that might be why Mines isn't doing a lot of these things, is because we're a relatively large student club, but since we are just a club and we don't have the resources of a governing body or a department, we can't do that as well. And the EHS office, Environmental Health and Safety, where we work with them, they also don't have the manpower that is needed to make a lot of these changes large enough right now.
I have kind of a follow-up question. You said there's a sustainability department and you don't have as many resources as them. You also mentioned that you collaborate with them. So I guess what's the extent of your responsibilities with sustainability on campus versus the sustainability department?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the sustainability department usually helps us with funding composting. They helped us with the prom composting last year. That came out of their budget. And we mainly work on like advertising the events to students, running the events. So the sustainability department helps us with fundraising and involving faculty. There's a faculty sustainability committee that I attend, and they are mainly just focused on like, how can we support the students with the resources we have, but we are in charge of like the running, the managing, and the idea part of sustainability.
Another follow-up question. So if the sustainability department helps fund your projects and you provide the manpower, what would this money go towards?
Well, the way that the budget works right now, it's a little bit complicated with getting money from the Environmental Health and Safety Office, and they also have a lot of other things that they need to spend their money on. So if we had our own club budget, this would help us make sure that the money goes to the right places and that we are able to see the change from our efforts as students, and rather than relying on the faculty to support all of our financial initiatives.
How much external funding do you search for and receive from Mines? Like not from Mines, but outside of Mines?
Well, outside of Mines, I don't actually, do you want to answer that question?
So outside of Mines Zero, we were a part of the Mines Gold Fund this semester. So we did receive donations from outside of the Mines community. But we only received about $1,000 worth of funding. Each compost from Gold Mine campaign. So that would be the only external funding we receive. Everything else we have to fund for ourselves or search internally for. Yeah, that answer your question?
Did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I was curious to know if you followed the chain of custody of the material that's gathered here on campus and where it ends up and what happens after that.
Yeah, so we focus more on the food waste generated by Mines Market and recycling rather than the trash. I know Lauren Poole, who's a sustainability director at Mines, has done those waste assessments. I don't know the numbers offhand. The tracking has been done in the past. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I would think it'd be a good part of your educational.
Yeah.
For everybody involved, know what the actual path is, particularly on recycled materials, but also on the composting, and then some sort of analysis of how efficient is it.
That's a great idea. Yeah. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I think one idea we could definitely pursue is having the EHS office members come and talk at SUS Talks with us to talk about that with students. And we can also have them present at our FSL and residence life programs too about that. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, hello. I'm here on behalf of the Mines Theme Park Engineering Design Group. We are a new up and coming club, but as we put in our name, group, because we don't like the club title of it. It's more of a future that we see that is not just being led by myself, by a bunch of group members that I've been able to meet over my past time. So just to give a little more context, my name is Jalen Thomas. I'm a senior in mechanical engineering. I'm a football player here. I'm the co-president for the National Society of Black Engineers, and I've been involved with Mines and I love it. But my true passion was becoming an Imagineer and working with Walt Disney Imagineering and being able to provide opportunities for individuals in this world to enjoy fun and feel magic. So this past summer, I actually had an internship out in Glendale. I have my little name tag here. I want to show off with it. It was a super cool opportunity. I got to work with the Disneyland Paris team, and I just learned so much through that industry. And also throughout my internship, I learned that other universities here in the nation have TPED or TPEG groups, which at first I had no clue what they were. And I wish I did, and I was a part of one, because I felt like I was a step behind of everybody else. And that was the first time ever being a Minds student that I felt that. And I did not like that, because I'm used to being at the top of everything, as all of you guys know here, which is something that we're proud of and want to keep doing. So I wanted to make sure when I came back here to found the first TPED group. So what it is we're an organization open to all students who are interested into this industry. We focus on the amusement, attraction, design, engineering, operation, and management. But something that we also want to dive into are five areas of focus. So the knowledge, and this is knowledge into the industry, going more to that professional development. We want to do more design, becoming creative, because here on Minds, we are more technically sounded, which is a great thing. But if we're able to be imaginative and creative, we could lead to great opportunities and inventions. Networking, this is a huge thing just for anyone in college and trying to get into the industry. I want to be able to introduce people that are working there now, who intern there, or just have the same passion, because it's fun to be around people that have the same love as that you do. Next thing is inclusivity. That's huge for me, just being the co-president of NSBE, and something that I believe everyone should have. That's something I wanted our club to be focusing on. So mostly we want to do engineering and social justice. The event I'll be sharing with you all later will be diving more into that, but something that I feel passionate about, and I think it should be just as important as all these other ones. And then lastly, the one that I love is fun, because engineering should be fun, and you should have fun when you're doing engineering stuff. And that's sometimes people don't realize that. And I'm hoping this club and this group will be able to introduce our community and our campus this again. So what the challenges that I'm trying to face or throughout our campus that kind of relates to our areas of focus are those design, inclusivity, and fun aspects. It's very difficult, I've learned just throughout my time being here, to do a personal project that you could put on your resume that you're proud of, or that you think is fun and that you can actually back up. I've been a part of one of the mining competitions here on campus, and it was a really cool opportunity, but it just wasn't as fun, if that makes sense. Or I didn't know what to say when employers were asking questions about it, because I was just a small part of it. And I wanted to give students on our campus the opportunity to do those same projects, but still be able to have the same type of experience as someone that would be the project lead to that, than someone just have just a small part of it. Also, I talked about the inclusivity. Something I also noticed as being a part of different clubs is that we don't ever come together, and even our majors were very separate from one another. So I think this club and this event will be an opportunity to bring stuff together and to bring people together. And then lastly, I kind of talked about it, our community just needs to remember that engineering is fun. And I think it's also a great outreach opportunity for high schoolers and middle schoolers to come out to see that engineering is fun, because that's something that I have been personally struggling with being the president of NSBE, is that specifically in our marginalized community, kids don't realize that, and they don't even know what engineering is. So that's just something I'm hoping to be able to accomplish. So to kind of dive into this, why I'm here today is to introduce you all to the Minds TPED Expo. This will be an annual event with it starting its first time in the spring. Super excited for it. We'll have a bunch of different competitions, events for our members themselves, but specifically the events I want to share and the challenges that will affect our whole campus are first our escape room. So we're going to be having one escape room that will be in course tech. That'll be actually led by our Vice President Lauren, who's now in the crowd over there. That will be using different type of engineering, technical, any type of mechanisms to create a fun escape room for people in the community to come out and to participate in. Next, we're doing Blasters Coaster Challenge. This one's going to be allowing any students, it could be a solo competition or groups, whatever, just to get people into it and have fun and to put it on the resume to build a coaster. Next, we're doing a putt-putt course, and how we envision it is each hole will be ran by a student org. So all these amazing people that are able to introduce their own clubs, we'd hope to invite them to maybe, hey, we want to do a hole, and it could promote their clubs, and it could also be a fun opportunity for the campus to involve into it and for them to throw it on their resume, something that they've done. So with this expo will for sure be like the pride and joy of our club, but the goal that I want is it to also be the pride and joy of our whole campus. It'll be the weekend after E-Days, I believe, in the weekend before finals. And that's a crazy transition of going for something fun to serious. So this is kind of that in-between section of where it is fun and serious at the same time. With this, the expo will be a whole campus. The whole campus will be viewing amazing projects. So this not only will be helping the members who are going to be participating, but just people who will be walking around and the advertisements to get people to come out, to check out and to participate in things that all of our students have been able to participate and create. Next, extra funding that we'll be asking though will help with these materials that will be going towards these projects. It'll be a lot easier to convince some of, let's say, the football team, which already have been committed to creating a whole, which I'm super excited for, but to tell them like, hey, if you guys get a group of 10 people, we'll be able to fund those materials to create these holes. That's a lot easier for students, especially for students that it's hard to pay out in college. We are broke college students that we all can understand. So to give the opportunity would be great. Like I said before, the football team's committed. We have Alpha Phi that's committed. Ship and Nesby, they all have been committed to having a hole right there. That's 4 to 5 holes that we'll be for sure to have. And our goal is to get 18 holes. But even then, if we're able to expand that to keep going, it'll be awesome and exciting. Kind of touched on this, the materials will be covered, but then also the decorations and just the little food, the little items that we don't think about that make an event just be rememberable. We just are asking for funding to go towards that. One thing I'd also love for all these students that are going to be participating, for them to be able to go grab food halfway through, because if they're creating these holes, they're going to kind of have to be running it and being able to understand the operational side. It'd be good for them to break to go get some food and water to relax. I'm going to give a little breakdown of the whole event here. First off, just the Blaster Coaster Challenge. It's going to be coming out about just $37 for one coaster. We found one that's just created off of like cable clips, MDF boards, little simple coaster, which if someone wants to do this, then they put it on their resume. I know it'd be tremendous because I've been able to talk to the recruiter at Walt Disney Imagineering, and she was the one that helped me create this whole challenge and said if she saw this with her, she would love it. And hopefully within the event and get going, we'll get the Career Center to come out and hold a workshop so that members could put this on the resume the proper way. Next will be the miniature golf holes. This one, we kind of just did multiple research to find certain holes to see how much it costs. That was kind of crazy that you could create a little putt-putt hole for $165, which is awesome. With this hole though, with the money that we've increased, we also believe that this hole, they could be able to travel. So being a part of Nesby, if my team was able to create a Nesby hole, when we go do outreach events at the high schools, we could bring this hole with us, which would be really, really cool. And it would also help the whole campus by sharing what Minds is about. And then lastly, the escape room. We have some of our members that are super about it already, and they've been talking about just the hardware, tech, physical item stuff that they're going to be needing there. So this is kind of the budget of where it comes out to being. Just a little extra necessity I touch on: food, drinks. Those are always expensive, which is sad of how life is, but that's what will help. We put a safety precaution in there just because we will be offering an escape room and putt holes. We want to make sure that all those necessities are taken care of so no one's going to be injured at this event. We'd also like to give out prizes. Elitch Gardens and Glenwood Caverns of Glenwood Springs are committed to giving out tickets for some of the winners, but I think it'd be awesome also just to give out little prizes for like the Blaster Coaster Challenge, maybe to give out a little Blaster toy doll. I think would be awesome to go with it, so stuff like that, just to also motivate individuals to come back and to be able to show that off, so why they want it, and keep going. With this, we also just want to show our income. Since we're a new club, we have nothing. I said, Kelsey, we're talking with being BSO to try to get tier 2 to hopefully get money down and get going. But as of now, we want to be doing fundraisers through Slick City, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. Hopefully for the Philanthropy Tank, giving $7,500 that we'll be asking for will help us. We're hoping for more donations and sponsorships through corporations, alumni, and others, and we'll be working more with the foundation to get those going. And then other options we could do are membership dues. I never want to do that. Just going back to how we are called broke college students. I don't want to have to require my members to pay those dues. The BSO money I talked about with Kelsey, we'll see how that all lands out. And then t-shirt sales is another opportunity that also at this event that we plan to be selling to get money back at this event. So just lastly, we ask you to assist us with the creation of the Minds Teep at Expo. An investment of $7,500. I'll go towards students' materials, personal projects, which will be showcased to the community at a fun engineering event. I put up here a QR code to our website and to our Instagram, and also put my email on there. So if any of you out there in the crowd have questions later on that or we're not able to get to, please feel free to reach out to me. But I just want to thank you all for your time, especially on this cold night. I was shivering in my seat. So thank you all for being here, and I'm open to listen to any of your questions.
I've got a question. What is your plan for how much of that material that you're funding will be reusable for future expos? Cause I can imagine putting together a bunch of holes that are just a base and then having the club build on top of them, and then reusing the bases in future years. How do you plan to reuse some of that material?
Well, the goal also will be within, when we challenge these clubs to make these puppa holes, is that it has to be reusable and sustainable. That's one thing, going back to our social justice and being able to engineer something that's able to long last. I'll go back to kind of, I was touching, like if NSBE creates a hole, we want them to be able to keep that hole though, so that they could use it to help share it. After all, we'll ask if anyone needs to, if they would like to donate it back to us so that we can reuse their materials, or so that we can use it ourselves, just being a new club, to go from there. The blaster coaster, just with the type of materials, it'll be kind of hard to reuse those. But at the same time, the impact that it'll have on the campus and potentially the high schoolers and the middle schoolers that would come out to see these coasters will be worth it for sure.
Something, I have to say, I love your logo. I think mine should just adopt that. That's like, you know, not part of every Mines. As soon as I saw that, I said, yep, that absolutely is all Mines students right there. And I love your enthusiasm too. How have you done any assessment of sort of the interest of this project with others, and how have you done that? What kind of results? Because this is kind of a niche field, even though it's it'd be a lot of fun. And also the timing of the event. You're right, it's just right in that crunch time, and I'm just wondering if the enthusiasm coming off of E-days, when people are already kind of gave all their time and energy and excitement to that, if there's going to be that investment. So how have you been assessing that or looking at that?
Yeah, so first off, we had info sessions about a month ago, just to introduce the club, and we dived in deeply to the expo because this will be our event. And from there, we had so many students that were super excited for it. They came up to me after, like, I want to do on the escape room, I want the holes. And I was like, okay, we'll figure this out. Let's get you all into this. So for our members that are able to go there, they've been super excited for it. I've been able to share with some of the MEP groups this idea, and they've been actually just out. This is where it's been great, because being from NSBE, I've been able to share other companies and their interests, and being able to see their faces compared to when I tell them about this club, they just glow, and it's been a great feeling. So they've been excited for the expo. I've had some members put on there that they marked their calendars out. They're super excited for it to be there. Just on more of the school side, I've reached out to the MEP directors just to talk to them. They want to help support it, get an MEP team, so they're helping with that. Our advisor, Marilyn Gallegos, who's in the sale office, she's going to help us tremendously with planning the expo. And she's been saying that every time she's mentioned it to people, they get excited about it. Our other advisor, Chelsea Salinas, she's been putting in their newsletters for the Engineering and Design Society, and it's been going out, and people have been reaching out to me about it. And then I even went and talked to Dr. Savina in the mechanical department to share the ideas. And she loved it so much that we're actually going to be having a senior design project based on the club that we'd hope to be showing at the expo. Just with the timing, and won't be able to show at this expo because it'll be pitching in January. But it's all been just showing that interest has been there. And right now, how this expo would be going, the expo would kind of be happening right now on our semester timeframe. And just seeing all these amazing students are willing to be able to pitch this idea, I know that we'd be able to handle the challenge.
For one more. And just another question, I just want to add, you may want to actually also reach out to the International Student Council, because I think getting international students involved in this would be, I think they'd love it, and it'd be really exciting for, you know, to also diversify our group even more so by bringing in a lot of, I could just see, I don't know, I just trying to imagine an international, you know, poll.
That would be amazing.
See what kind of cool things they would come up with.
Totally. Is it?
Any last questions from the judges?
Yeah, I was just curious to know that it seems like you're pretty focused on just getting this first event taken care of. But what are your thoughts about year 2, 3, and 4?
Like the expo afterwards? Or so this is where
one of the things we're being asked to judge on here is the sustainability of all this.
So actually my officers, all of them but one, and there's a total of 7 of us, are underclassmen or they're below me. So that's something I did myself. I looked out. I want to make sure the members who are going to be leading this will be back. myself too, I'm going to the master's program, so I'll be here the year afterwards. But this is kind of the thing that we're leaning towards to see how it goes. It's kind of our test trial, because after that, like we stated, the goal is to get the campus involvement more, not more our club involvement, because my main goal is going to be when external individuals are coming up to me to talk and ask, when's the next one? Or when can we do a Halloween themed one and do a haunted house, which has already been in talks about. So I want to focus more on this first one, just to kind of get the game plan down, to kind of create the strategic plan so that the next year's president, I could pass them over a booklet so that they understand the steps to take and go through it. And it's been kind of nice being able to plan it ahead of time, have fall, kind of do a phases and step-by-step process so that when we're able to pass it on, it'll be ready and to go. And hopefully Lauren, who I shout out back there, will become the president next year. So we will see, but also just talking to different industry speakers, they're willing to come out, and they're also putting on their calendars ahead of time for this event, and they want to come out in next year's event to keep it going. And hopefully with the Career Center, they've stated that any contacts that we have with them to share with them also, so that when their campus engagements comes about, we won't be alone with supporting it, that the whole school will be here. Thank you. I believe everyone's coming back up now.
Yeah, so if everyone from the groups could come back up, and we'll do a little closing statement. Let's start on one end.
Yeah, if you would mind, one closer, yes, I just couldn't go.
Okay, how long are the closing statements?
1 minute.
1 minute, okay. Okay, well, thank you again for listening to our presentation. We really hope that you will consider giving us part of the money that we requested, or all of it, hopefully, for composting events and education for the campus and sustainability, helping us partner more with other organizations to bring sustainable events to life on campus, especially like days and homecoming, to support our projects like the air quality monitor and green labs, and to help our club expand and succeed in the future, making minds more sustainable.
Ditto, thank you guys for coming out. I'm representing Cutting Grant Lines, and I hope that you guys continue to support us in trying to reduce the percent of food insecure students on campus through cooking classes, surveys, providing food to Bachelor's Basket, and more.
Thank you all for coming and watching us and support and helping support our projects. We're really passionate about mines. A lot of students on campus are going through the whole mines curriculum, and they want to make mines a better place for everybody on campus. And that's a little bit difficult, especially when you come from certain backgrounds or from certain neighborhoods. And we hope to bring a lot of these people together so that they can feel supported, and so that we can make mines a better community for all students.
And again, ditto. Thank you again for being here and helping out with all this. And I guess as a reminder, we're Wikipedia, and we're hoping to create a Wikipedia for debatable topics, help people make better informed decisions on the world's most pressing issues.
Yes, thank you again for just coming out tonight and listening to all of our ideas. Besides myself, I was in awe of all of you all. I can't wait to attend all these great events and become part of your guys' club. So thank you. And thank you all judges, though, like I said, it's cold out here, so get home safe tonight. And please consider being part of the engineering design group for the funds. We also would like to invite you all to the expo. Hope to see you all there because we hope to just remind all these amazing students that what they're doing is the right option and that it's fun. Engineering should always be fun.
Thank you for all of your presentations. Thank you to the judges and donors and everyone for listening. And now you have a chance to vote if you'd like. You can go to weare.mines.edu/tank and submit a vote for where you would like these funds to go. And the winners will be announced next week. So thank you.
And you guys have until December 4th at 11:59 p.m. to vote. So encourage your friends, encourage everybody, as a community vote, you get an extra bonus funds.